Hello and good evening, everybody. My name is Tanya Day, and I'm the site manager here at the Orange County Historical Museum. If you'll give me just a few moments, we're waiting on our last people who are joining us. And I would like to remind everybody that tonight is being recorded, and I will make sure that the recording makes its way to you within the next few days. Probably by Monday, you'll get a copy, you'll get an email, which will have a link to the video. Okay, so again, my name is Tanya Day here at the Orange County Historical Museum. Thank you so much for being here tonight with us for Indigenous Herbs with Vickie Jeffries. And we are so delighted to say that this event is co-sponsored by the Hillsborough Garden Club, and it is supported in part by the Orange County Arts Commission and the North Carolina Arts Council, which is a division of the Department of Natural and Cultural Resources. Before we hear from Vickie tonight, and we'll be getting some fabulous information from her. Before we hear from her tonight, we will have her introduced by the Vice President of the Hillsborough Garden Club, Ann Sebeson.
Okay. The host, it says the host has okay, there we go. Are you hearing me?
We sure are.
Okay, good. It's a privilege to be able to represent the Garden Club and welcome Vickie Jeffries to speak to us. Vickie is an enrolled member of the tribal administrator for the Ochenechee Band of the Saponi Nation. She also serves as the chair for the annual powwow and is a traditional dancer at these events. Ms. Jeffries has worked for physicians for the past 35 years in different capacities, and she recently retired from UNC Family Medicine in Chapel Hill as an administrative assistant. She lived for many years in Connecticut, but returned to North Carolina at the request of her Aunt Bunk, who asked her to help care for the elders of the tribe. With a strong feeling that she had a calling to come home, she immersed herself in tribal ways, becoming more in touch with the culture and continuing the traditions and ways of those who came before. Ms. Jeffries is a member of the Southeastern Studies Linguistics Group for the Tutelo Saponi language of the Ochenechee Saponi Nation. She's a self-taught basket weaver, beader, an Indigenous herbalist. She has been weaving and beading for about 7 years now. Miss Jeffries grew up around her grandmother and aunts who would share some of their skills that she uses today for her baskets. One of her great uncles was a basket weaving instructor, and one of his baskets is at the Burnett's Chapel Church, and it's noted to be about 100 years old. It's still intact. Ms. Jeffries has also taught basket weaving and beading at Elon College. Ms. Jeffries believes that the beads have a spirit, and therefore you must show respect when beading. Her bracelets carry a story of the inspiration for the colors and design. She's the owner of Mihe Hetoya Incorporated, which sells Indigenous-made items. And I asked her about how that came to be, and she said, that's part of her name, which means woman who stands tall. Ms. Jeffries started on her journey of using herbs by watching her mother and used different recipes when her sisters or brothers had colds or other ailments. She's carrying on the tradition of her ancestors and hopes to pass it along to the next generation. And I really appreciate that she's taking the time to pass it along to us tonight. Host asked you to start your video.
Hello, everyone. Of course, thank you, Anne, for that introduction. Welcome tonight to Indigenous Herbs with Vickie Jeffries. I have to introduce myself in my native name, which is Mihe Henandies Yatse, which means woman who stands tall. I started my love of herbs many years ago, and I just hope that you enjoy the information that I'm going to share tonight. I am going to do some slides and go through them, and I also have some herbs that I've been out foraging today to show you. Usually I'm in front of people and I'm able to let you smell them and, taste the teas and things like that, but we're just going to kind of ad lib today. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay. So first I wanted to start by telling you about indigenous herbs. Indigenous people employed the traditional knowledge, which we call TK, strategies to create landscapes that provided food, fiber, tools, and medicine. And as an indigenous herbalist, if you live in the United States, you can practice without a license. Because herbalism is unregulated and we must adhere to a simple code. So I cannot diagnose, prescribe, or treat you unless I have a medical license in another field that confers those rights. And unless you have appropriate official medical training and diagnosis, we do not make medical diagnosis. Traditional knowledge is that indigenous people are renowned for our medicinal plant knowledge. And in order to protect these plants from over-harvesting, the medicine men used to pick every third plant they found. Many of the modern remedies and medicines are based on Native American knowledge, different plants and herbs that we use for thousands of years. Hundreds of indigenous medicines are now in the pharmacopoeia today. And if you think about like medicines today, there's a compound of an herb that is used in that medicine. And the traditional herbal medicines are naturally occurring plant-derived substances with no industrial processing whatsoever. And just like tobacco, when you get tobacco in a cigarette, it goes through all this processing and thing. But when you get like the natural tobacco, it's just natural. It has no chemicals or nothing in it. So, and when you get an herb just pulled straight from the ground, that is just that herb, and there's nothing else except the dirt that it was in, and that's it, and no type of other processing. Herbal medicines are made from plants. Either you use the whole plant or the leaves, the flowers, the roots, or bark. And it depends on what you're going to do with it. And when you're harvesting, if you do not know how to harvest, you should always be careful about harvesting different plants to make sure that you're getting the correct plant. Because that is the main thing that you should do, because if you harvest and you're not sure what you're getting, it could be toxic. And also, like if you see something like something that you want to harvest, a plant by the roadside, you should not, because of the pesticides that they use. And this has been our main source of medicine for indigenous people for thousands of years. And these medicines are still used today. As I said, for thousands of years, we have used the herbs not only to heal our body, but also to purify the spirit and bring balance into our lives and our surroundings. I know a lot of people are familiar with sage, burning sage to get rid of negativity, to pray with that. I've seen a lot on TV where people use them for those paranormal shows to get rid of spirits and things like that. But it's a very sacred herb. And the smell is so wonderful when you do burn it, but it's just that when you're smudging with it, you can feel the power of it, and it's releasing that negativity from you. So I smudge almost every morning because I just like to go outside and do that and just you know, pray to Mother Earth and Father Sky, but that is one of our herbs. And our oral traditions indicate that we learn about the healing powers of the herbs from watching sick animals. If you're out in the forest and you see an animal that, you know, is going to eat a herb, or, you know, like, and they feel better, or if there doesn't look just right, or something's wrong, you know that that herb is okay to use. And the animals will tell you a lot. They are so full of information if you just watch them. I live in Graham, and I'm sort of like out a little bit in the country, but I was watching these squirrels that were out there, and the mushrooms that push up from the ground. And he kind of went around it a couple of times. He looked at it, and then he went over, and he was like foraging on the ground, and he went back, but he never touched that mushroom. He just kind of looked at it and played around it, but, you know, never touched it. So it's like lessons that you watch. If you watch animals, you can really learn some lessons from them. Historically, Native Americans had a unique and complex relationship with the land. We depended on it for our survival. We are Eastern Woodland Indians, so that actually when we went into the forest, that was our drugstore. That was our food supply. That was our clothing. And we could actually go into the forest, you know, and build our houses, and everything that we could possibly get from the forest was there. And we also made sure that we gave back because we respected the land. And we want to make it sustainable and manageable for, you know, the generations to come. But it's always the respect that you give the land, because you're taking from it, so you should give something back, you know, like an offering or sing a song or something like that. And what I've been taught is that we receive the land. The land offers us. It allows us to have a connection with our ancestors to carry on the teachings, because we walk in the moccasin tracks of our ancestors, and what they taught us, you know, from generations and generations. This is what it offers us, because they leave their footprint on there so that we can continue to learn and carry on their teachings. And when I'm with my plants or my herbs, and if I'm taking from them, I always give an offering of tobacco, or I sing a song. I'm not going to sing one because I don't really have a good voice, but, you know, but I sing to that plant to let them know that I respect them and that I'm grateful for what they are giving us. And it just makes you have that connection with that plant. And you take only what you need in a way that it enhances the plant. And that means that if you have a mature plant that is like this big and it's growing, but you have one that's just starting out, don't take from the one that's just starting out. Take from that mature plant, because it has something to give and it will flourish. But if you take from the one that's just starting, that might be the end of it, and it won't have anything else to give. And like I said, never harvest from roadways or parks because of pesticides, because you can find a lot of herbs that are probably along roadways, but you just don't harvest those, because of course somebody has sprayed some type of pesticide, and you don't want to use those herbs. And the thing is that you never gather at night, because the spirits of the plant are resting. Plants do rest. It's better to gather in the morning, because you want to give those plants respect, because they are resting at night. And that's with anything. If you're even harvesting for baskets or anything, you just never harvest at night. Just do it, you know, be ready in the morning to get out there and to harvest. Now, did you know that the use of plants for healing purposes predates recorded history? And many conventional drugs originate from plant sources. And centuries ago, most of the few effective drugs were plant-based. And if you ever think about it, I don't know if you know this, some examples are aspirin from willow bark, and digoxin from foxglove, and quinine from cinchona bark, and morphine from the opium poppy. So if you think back what these plants gave and what is in some of these drugs that they have now, is part of the herb and then part of the synthetic type. But it plays a part in that. And the development of the drugs from plants continues with drug companies engaged in trying to screen these herbs and see how they can be used in that. So it carries on. Now I know everybody, excuse me, I'm getting a little dry here. I know everyone is probably used to our 4 sacred herbs, which is tobacco, sage, sweetgrass, and cedar. And I'm sure that you've heard of them. Our traditional tobacco was given to us so that we can communicate with the spirit world. And most of our people, I believe, were tobacco farmers, and we were farmers anyhow. So, but when you have that tobacco, you can use it as an offering. And even when you're going to an elder's house, if you can bring him a offering of tobacco, and it's just a way to communicate with the spirit world. And it opens that door to allow communication to take place. And when we make an offering of the tobacco, we communicate our thoughts and feelings through the tobacco as we pray for ourselves, our family, relatives, and others. So it has a very healing effect and an opening up effect where just by offering it to someone, it brings about that peacefulness inside. And it is very powerful. Now, sage is a wonderful medicine. It's actually called the woman's medicine. And it, when people say, oh, is that a spice? It can be used as a spice, but it is a sacred plant for many indigenous tribes because it has purifying energies to cleanse the body of negative energies, like what I talked about before, which you can actually, the sage is dried and sometimes it's put into a bundle. And you can burn your bundle, or it's loose and you can burn it like that. But it has a wonderful, sweet aroma smell. And you can actually make sage tea out of it too. And it is good as a remedy. It was good for medical conditions like your abdominal cramps, some spasm, cuts, bruises, colds, and flu. Because you can take, if you have a cut, you can take crumble up sage. And actually, they used to mix it with the saliva. And if you put it on there, it sort of instantly starts to heal that cut. And you can also make a hair rinse out of it, and with rosemary, and it makes your hair so thick and shiny. And that rosemary cleans your scalp too, because it will rinse away everything that's on your scalp and clean it so that your hair will start to grow. And it comes out really thick and very shiny. So the herbs have like more than one place on how they can be used, not only in teas, but for medicines and different things. So it's just like not a herb that just does this. It does many things. And that's what the power of these herbs are. They're healing. They can calm you, make you stress-free. So it's so many different things that these herbs can offer. Now, sweetgrass, I've been smelling my sweetgrass that I have over here because it is the sacred hair of Mother Earth. And in that sweetgrass braid, there's actually 28 strands, and that's the hair of Mother Earth. And, when you burn that and, you put it over your head and, around you, that smell of that sweetgrass is so fragrant, and it is such a wonderful smell. When I'm beading or basket weaving, I have sweetgrass around me, and for some reason, I will always have it up to my nose like intervals, because that smell with even laying on my desk, I can smell it. But it also reminds you of gentleness, like you feel very calm when it's around you or when it's burning. And it shows that, that Mother Earth had love and kindness for the people. When we use it in a healing circle, it has a very calming effect. So if we're in a healing circle or talking circle, if you burn sage or sweetgrass, it kind of calms everyone so that, you know, you can open up and talk and feel free to do it. So these type of herbs are really very, very therapeutic. Just like sage and cedar and sweet, it's used for smudging and purification. Now, cedar is used to purify the home. Many medicinal purposes. Cedar baths are healing. If your legs are sore or something's going on with you and you know, you have like a sore hand or anything, if you boil cedar and pour that water in the bath, it actually takes away that pain. It's like an anti-inflammatory. And if you also like have congestion and like you just like have sinus problems, if you take sage, cedar, and sweetgrass, boil some water, put it in a bowl, and just put your head over it with a towel, take a couple of breaths, and then raise up again and put your head back in there. It will relieve all that congestion in there. And it's proven to work because my daughter, who has asthma, sometimes she gets really congested. So when that happens, I will make that for her, and then it just opens her up just like that. So, and cedar was also used by healers for people that had cancer. One of the elders, she had said that when her friend had cancer, she went over and gave her a bath in cedar. And when she did that, once she had that bath, then she started to massage her. And she said that the part where the lady had the tumor, her hands got really, really hot on that part. And she said at first she didn't understand it, but then when another elder told her that that was the part that she had to really massage, and then she understood. But it's just a powerful, it is a powerful herb. And when you do this, you call on the attentions of the spirits to the offering that is being made. And that means like if you're healing someone or if you're taking a bath in it, you're calling to the spirits for that. And cedar is used in fasting and sweat lodge ceremonies as a form of protection. Cedar branches cover the floor of the sweat lodge, and a circle of cedar surrounds the lodge. So you're like triply protected. And as I said, it's also anti-inflammatory and decongestant when used in conjunction with sage and sweetgrass. Now, there are a lot of ways that you can use herbs. Some people can do decoctions, and that's used for like tough plant materials such as barks and berries. And the roots require a more vigorous extraction. And you have to heat the plant material in cold water, bring it to a boil, and then simmer it. But then you can make a decoction out of that. But it takes a little bit more because of the plant materials that you are using. And there's so many different ways that you can use herbs. The next way is an infusion, and that's by using fresh or dried herbs. You can use lavender, mint, any type of herb you want. And what you do is you just make sure that the water is boiling to a boil. And then when you do that, you just strain it. And what happens is that if you boil it too much, if you have your water steaming and boil it, all the oils that you're supposed to be ingesting is going out into the steam. So when you make your cup of tea, make sure that the water's not boiling vigorously, and that will be your infusion. And sometimes you can get those little tea sifters that you can put in your cup. And that way, like just when it becomes boiling, and then you're going to let it just set for 3 to 5 minutes. But if you boil it, you're going to boil everything right out of it. So you don't want to do that. Now, a poultice is you can do different things with a poultice. You can make a poultice of mashed pumpkins, which was used by Native Americans, and that was used for minor injuries. You can use fresh chopped cabbage. And my mother used to make a poultice out of cornmeal heated on the stove. So if you had a toothache or your knee hurt or anything like that, she would go get the cornmeal, she heat it in the frying pan and cast iron, and then she put it in a sock. Excuse me. She would put it in a sock, and then she would say, here, put this on your knee or put this on your tooth or something like that. And it actually would take away that pain. And just that smell, I always remember the smell of the cornmeal because after she had heated it in the frying pan. But you can use fresh herbs, can also be used. You can get comfrey, and actually, if you have like some knee pain, you can take comfrey and mash it up, and then put that and put just a little bit of water in it, just to get it like sort of like a little mash, like sort of like a mashed potato in a way. And if you pack it on your leg and take some plastic wrap, put it around there, put your leg up, and it actually will take down the inflammation. And another good rub that people might not know about that you can just do in your out of your kitchen is vinegar and olive oil, because the vinegar has an anti-inflammatory. And if you mix equal parts of that, you can make actually a rub, and you can rub it if you have swelling in your ankles and your knee or wherever. You might smell like a pickle, but you know, it really takes down the inflammation. Now, tinctures are made by steeping the herb in a mixture of, you know, alcohol and water, because the alcohol acts as a preservative. And this, if you do it this way, you can actually store the tinctures in glass bottles, hopefully like the dark glass bottles, for up to 2 years. And that really lasts long. But the process of doing the tincture takes a little bit longer because you have to let that infuse into the herbs and anything, but it really lasts a long time if you decide to do that. Now, syrups are good because I make an elderberry syrup, and it is just made from elderberries, cinnamon, cloves, and honey. And it really is a good syrup, and it's like a tonic. You can take it every day. You would take like a tablespoon every day, and it actually will keep you from getting colds and flu. I make it for my family when it starts to get cold outside, and you know, and there we want our syrup, so we usually keep that around. And the thing is that you have to remember, if a child is under like 1 year old, you should not give them honey, because that honey contains bacteria that can produce toxins in the baby's intestines. Just like some of these other herbs, pregnant women should not ingest while they're pregnant. So they should always check with the doctor first before doing that. Now, here's an interesting one, cloves. They have natural pain killing and antibacterial properties. So if you were to go into your cabinet and get the cloves and get olive oil, you can just mix some of that, make like a paste, and you can actually put it on the affected part, and it will take care of that pain and the inflammation. I did that when my daughter had an abscess, and she put it on there, and I think within 10 minutes, it was actually gone, and she felt so much better with that. Now, we were talking about dandelions earlier, about how dandelions are just highly nutritious, and you can actually use the whole part of the dandelion. The dandelion actually stimulates digestion, it cleanses the liver, and promoting the flow of bile. And it's a diuretic because it has a lot of potassium. You can make a tea out of dandelion flowers, coffee from the root, and dandelion fritters by picking and washing the flowers, dipping them in a mixture, and fry them. They're really good. They come out really crunchy, and they're good. And the leaves can be sauteed or just added to a salad. But when you see the dandelion in your yard, pick them, make your teas and things like, everybody thinks they're pesky little weeds, but they're actually not. You can use the whole entire dandelion, and the roots, you can make your coffee from the roots. I know everyone's familiar with ginger because ginger is really potent. It treats indigestion. It even eases headaches. It controls your blood pressure. It treats colds, cough, and flu, and asthma. And you can make a nice tea out of this ginger. Even if you just boil the ginger and then drink the water from there and put some honey in it, it's so strong. But it really does kind of open you up and help you with, like if you have a cold or cough, you can add it to lemon but it also relieves menstrual pains and cramps. So it's really good for that. But did you know that if you wanted to grow your own ginger, you could actually buy ginger out of the grocery store, and the little pieces that you would just cut a little piece off and just plant it, and you can actually grow your own ginger. And it is always so helpful. Now, lavender is a wonderful smelling herb. You can actually make lavender tea, but it is so strong that you might want to mix something like mint with it. But the healers use this plant as a remedy for insomnia, anxiety, depression, headache, and fatigue. And the oil, if you have lavender oil, it has antiseptic and anti-inflammatory properties. And if you make an infusion, it can be used to soothe insect bites as well as burns. And I was always told if you plant lavender around your house, it will bring you good luck. Even if you can make a dream pillow, if you have trouble sleeping at night and you want that soothing smell or something like that, you can combine lavender with chamomile, hops, mint, and rose petals and make a dream pillow, which is really easy. Just get some material and kind of sew around it, leave an opening, and throw all your herbs in there, and then just sew up the top of it, and you can put it under your pillow or inside your pillowcase, and it just helps you sleep and gets you so relaxed. I know everyone is familiar with mint. Mint is used to soothe digestion problems and help an upset stomach, because if your stomach is upset and you start drinking some mint tea, it really does ease that. And you can make a salve from it to relieve itching and skin rashings. And you can also use it for treating acne and pimples, because you can actually just make like a salve out of that with olive oil and beeswax, and you just I have this little chopper I do to get it down to that consistency, and then you can actually make a salve with that, and it is so healing when you use that. And you know that chewing on mint freshens your breath instantly. So if you've ate a bunch of onions or something else and you have meeting, get some mint, and it takes away that smell like instantly. I used to call this herb mullein, but I think they call it mullein. But it's an herb that has been used in smoking blends for the sacred pipe. And it's also a tea. You can use it as a tea for lung inflammation because it does help the lungs, even if you're a smoker. It can soothe inflamed or infected lungs and prevents coughing until infection or inflammation is broken, because when you get that, you start coughing a lot, trying to get it up. But this actually soothes that until it breaks up. And the tea is like, you have to strain it really good because it's kind of floury or powdery because of the petals. So you have to really strain it really good. But what it does, it helps to break up that congestion and promotes effective coughing, so that you're not trying to cough it up and it's not coming up. But once you use the tea, it makes you bring up the stuff that's in there. Now, I love this root. It's called osha root, or it's called love root, or bear medicine, because the ancestors would watch the bears after they chew this, and they would come very loving, and they would start nuzzling each other, and that's why they call it like a love root, because they would just get into this different euphoria of being very loving. It contains antiviral, antibacterial, antifungal, and anti-inflammatory properties. And it's actually that root that you would break off a little piece and chew. And the medicine will come out, and then once all the medicine is gone, and then you would just spit the bark out. Every time my daughter says she has, or my son said they have a sore throat, I go, I'm going to get the OCHM root, and I turn around and they're gone, because the smell is, the taste is so potent. But then they come back and they chew it, and then I ask later, well, how you doing? And they go, oh, it feels better. But it also helps with acid indigestion. And if you just chew it, and you don't have to have a lot of it, you can just have like a small piece of it, and it will help with that indigestion. And as I said, it lasts for a long time, but it's a very bitter root, but it does help healing for respiratory conditions, cough, colds, tonsillitis, flu, and other types of viral infections. Now, I don't know if anybody know that you can make pine needle tea. Pine needle tea has a pleasant taste and smell. It's rich in vitamin C, and it actually has 5 times the concentration of vitamin C found in lemons. And it can bring relief to conditions such as heart disease, varicose veins, skin complaints, and fatigue. And it is also, and you know, vitamin C is an immune booster, which means that pine needle tea can help fight illness and infections. And it has high levels of vitamin A, which is actually good for your eyesight. It improves your hair regeneration, and it improves red blood cell production. And when you think that just pine needles, that actually a pine needle would do all of that. You see them once they turn brown and they drop to the ground. Before they do that, you get them when they're green. And it's amazing that we probably pass pine needles everywhere, every day, and never think about that they can actually do that. And it can be used for an expectorant for coughs, and it helps relieve chest congestion, and it's also good for sore throats. Use a little honey and lemon in there, and it tastes great. It actually does. And they said it also helps with clarity and mental clearness. But all the herbs have that properties, not just one, but many. That's why it makes them so powerful. Now, rosemary, we consider this plant sacred because it is used for analgesic for alleviating sore joints. It improves your memory, and it relieves muscle pain and spasms, and it helps your circulatory and your nervous systems. And it also can improve the immune system. And once again, it treats indigestion. And if you hold a piece up to your temple, it will improve your memory. And that's another proven fact. I use my daughter for a specimen all the time, but that's another proven fact, and that it does that. But you can make a rosemary tea. You can cook with the rosemary. You can make a rosemary hair rinse. You can make a rosemary hair oil. All of this from this herb. And it's so easy to grow. You can actually buy out of Walmart. They have rosemary there, but if you get a couple of them and plant them, they just flourish. So you have rosemary all through the winter, the summer. It's like a plant that you don't have to do a lot with, but it has so many different properties in it. I'm not sure if anyone has ever heard of sumac, but we actually, on the tribal grounds, we have a sumac tree. And this plant can be used for multiple remedies. And this is one of the only plants that the healers use in treating eye problems. And it's a very beautiful, when it's on the tree, it's very beautiful. It's red, it's in clusters. And the one that's poisonous is the white one, but the one that is red in these clusters is so pretty. We make a sumac aid out of it, and it is wonderful. It has like a citrusy taste, and you don't wash it, because if you wash it, you'll wash out the citrus part of it, and you have to strain it really good because of the way the clusters are. But it can also be combined in the tea. It can reduce your fever. It can be made in a poultice to soothe poison ivy, just like I said that you can use your poultices with herbs, and this is one that you can actually use. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I always say thyme, somebody says thyme, but it's probably in your kitchen cabinet, and it's an antiseptic herb for the respiratory system. And if you make a tea out of it, it can treat bronchitis and colds. And it can be directly applied to wounds as an antiseptic when diluted. But once again, another powerful herb that, you have, that you see in the grocery stores that you actually can get your hands on to use. Here's another one that I love. And if you don't mind, I'll indulge you in a little story. I'm a basket weaver, and I have an owl, AWL, because somebody thought I was talking about an owl. I punctured my thumb, and when I was doing my basket weaving, and I really stuck that in my finger really bad, and it was bleeding. So I just wiped the blood away. I went in my kitchen, I got the yarrow root. I put it on my finger, and I just put the root on there, and I let it stay on for about 20 minutes. And then I wiped it off. And when I did, my thumb had already started to seal. It was not hurting or bleeding anymore. And you can actually feel that it had formed a bandage across that area. And to this day, you cannot even see where I actually stuck that all the way in my thumb, because I immediately got the yarrow plant. It's a flowering plant, and then, as I said, it has been used to stop excess bleeding. It can be applied to open wounds and cuts as a poultice made from the leaves, and that's what I did to help clot the blood. And indigenous people also combine fresh yarrow juice with water to help an upset stomach and for intestinal disorders. And a tea made from the leaves and stems will act as an astringent. So you can actually boil those and act as an astringent. And just to kind of recap, some ginger and cinnamon. Add cinnamon to your coffee. It will lower your blood pressure. Fennel and lemon balm tea. Lemon balm is actually used to ward off insects. If you take it and kind of outside and rub it on you, the insects don't like the citrus smell. If you have sinus headaches, lavender and pine inhalation together, those will open up sinuses, and it also will ease at headache. And guess what? I have an anti-inflammatory tea that you can make with turmeric. Very easy to make. I know that later on you probably can get this recipe because this is being recorded. And then also ginger and lemon tonic that you can make, and you can keep it in your refrigerator. And once it starts to, you get half full, you can fill it back up with water, and it actually will continue to make that. You can do this actually like twice, but it's a good tonic for during the winter. And it just kind of opens you up, kind of boosts your immune system. So it's a very, very good herb to try. And I always suggest that you have a herbal first aid kit. Arnica cream is effective for bruises and sprains, and is and pregnant women should not use this. And garlic, you can rub fresh cloves on acne and other infected spots. So if you're out in a bush or someplace, then take these things with you. Witch hazel can be used for minor burns and sunburns. You can just soak it and it'll stop bleeding. And honey draws the poison out of wounds, and it's useful for colds, mixed with any kind of juice or water. And of course, aloe vera to soothe minor burns, scalds, or sunburns. Sorry, I have never talked this long in my life. So I wish everybody Nahab Kilokoyin Bise. Allow the day to be good. And I just wanted to, excuse me, since we're not all together in one place, this is the sweetgrass, and this is what I smell basically like all the time. And this is the rosemary that I foraged today, picking out of my yard. But I wanted to show you this. This is actually the dandelion root. And at this end, this root is where the coffee, where you can make the coffee out of. And sometimes the roots are really very, very large, but you can just chop this off, clean it, chop it up in little small pieces, put it in the oven and roast it till it gets really brown. And it makes the best coffee, which is actually good for your heart. And then the leaves, you can make your salad out of this. So that's why you can use the whole dandelion. And of course, your lavender, you can make, you know, your lavender pillows, and you can make a tea out of it, but I caution you to use something else with it because it's very, very strong. And of course, your pine needles. I have like this little pine cone on the top, but you know, the needles you can take and make your tea out of. And it has so many different. Your cedar, you can make cedar tea, actually takes down, if you have water on your knee or anything like that, if you boil and make a cedar tea, it relieves all that fluid. And I wanted to show you this really neat thing. This is a tea. It's blue tea, and I hope you can see like the color. It's like an indigo color. But this is a good tea that you can use actually for asthma. If you have asthma, you drink a cup of this and it really opens you up, but it has like a pretty beautiful, like an indigo color, and that's called Blue Butterfly Pea Flower Tea. So I hope you've enjoyed this, and you know, I try to cover like the most basic ones because there's so many herbs that you can cover. We could be here all night and all day. And but it's just remember that when you do, if you're foraging or if you're taking anything from Mother Earth, just make sure that you leave an offering, and you know, because we're taking from her, and we always want her to sustain us, and you know, and my love of herbs and the respect that you give them because they sustain us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vickie. That was incredible. I had no idea that pine needles had that much vitamin C in them.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
We've actually been getting some questions, mostly
Okay.
about sweetgrass. We've had a couple people ask, where do you get it? Where can they get seeds? And is it possible for them to grow their own sweetgrass?
Mm-hmm. It is possible. I just started this year to grow my sweetgrass, but I actually got my plant from Growers Exchanged, and you put in your order, and then when it's ready, then they ship it to you. But they come, you know, sometimes when you do that, the plants aren't good, but every plant I've gotten from them that I can't get from around here has been wonderful. But you can start to grow your own sweetgrass. The first year, you might not have as much as you want, but then the second year, it will grow. But it's just a wonderful, once you buy it, you'll always buy it.
And what about OSHA root? People are interested in OSHA root.
Right, the same thing. You can actually go to if you go to different places. Like I get some OSHA root from Etsy, but make sure that it's organic, because you know, just read about. And I use the same person for years, the same one. But you can actually get the OSHA root, and they can't disguise the OSHA root. But I always make sure that I'm getting from my same grower, and or the place that they live, that they actually are getting the OSHA root. But you can actually get that from them, and because Etsy has a lot of organic growers that sell on that site.
Interesting. And I don't know if you're reading the chat here, but people are saying, thank you so much. This is fantastic. Thank you for sharing your wisdom. Oh, question about sumac for you. Is it related to poison ivy?
No, sumac, if you get the white sumac, that is, because I get sumac and I make sumac aid and I've never had a problem. But if you get the white sumac, and that is the poisonous one, the red sumac is not poison. And we actually have a sumac tree on the tribal grounds. But you can even get sumac powder to put into your foods. You can use it as a seasoning, which is delicious.
What sort of taste does it have? Is it peppery?
No, it's not peppery. It's sort of like just like a seasoning. It's not peppery or hot or anything, but it's like a seasoning, and it's really good when you put it in your food. And it's sumac powder, but I mean it's just like you're seasoning your food with it.
How neat. And the last question we have, be sure to, we do have a little bit of extra time, so put your questions in the chat if you would like. Could the blue butterfly pea tea be used for folks in the West during fire season? Would it be able to sort of soothe any damage that they might be sustaining?
I'm sure it could. I'm sure it could because of the properties of the blue butterfly pea flower tea. And of course it works on your respiratory system. So I'm pretty sure. And like I said, my daughter has asthma, and sometimes when she says, you know, it's flaring up, she can't breathe, then, you know, I give her the tea. And then I say within 15 to 20 minutes, she's feeling much better.
Wow. And finally, would it be possible to buy sumac from a savory spice shop?
I believe you can. I think you can because they do make those spices. And I think that you can. And it should be just the sumac, you know, ground
Yeah.
into that. So I do believe you can buy it from just another savory shop.
Does the blue butterfly pea grow in North Carolina?
No, it doesn't.
Oh, it's an exotic.
It does not. I ordered that too because it's just like for, you know, I try to keep to natural stuff and I research a lot. And I have some friends that are actually from Thailand that told me about the blue butterfly pea flower tea. And that's how I got, you know, like turned on to it. I was like, wow. And they were telling me all the properties of it and everything. So it is it's actually a wonderful tea, but it does not grow in North Carolina.
Well, it was absolutely beautiful. When you hold it up, it was like a cup of
It
liquid
is.
gemstones.
It's just like even when you drink it and you're drinking this beautiful blue color tea, it just sends waves up your body because you're like you're like this is so beautiful and you know it makes you feel really good and you know because every time I make it, my daughter drinks it like it's gone. I go, "Where's the blue butterfly pea flower tea?" And she goes, "Oh, I drank it." So it is. I mean, you could just drink it anytime. You could do hot or cold with these teas. It doesn't matter, whichever way you would like to drink them.
Well, I think that is all the questions we have. We have been getting a couple questions about whether or not you do other herbal workshops.
Well, I'm trying to schedule some from my tribe because, of course, we had to cancel all our activities because of COVID. And we did have, I did a herbal workshop one time, and I was surprised at how many people showed up for it. And we were able to have hands-on, which I wish we could do, you know, have hands-on. But I am going to put together some workshops through the tribe that we can have for the herbals and cover some more things or cover like some questions that people have about different herbs because as I said, they're so numerous and it's hard to cover them in like one sitting to do it because they're so numerous, but I am planning on doing that. And if you signed up for the newsletter, any workshops or, you know, like Zoom workshops or anything that we're having, they will be posted in our monthly newsletter.
And if somebody hasn't signed up for the tribal newsletter, how would they go about doing that?
They can just send an email to obsntribe@gmail.com and just say they would like to sign up for the newsletter, and I will sign them up for the newsletter.
Fabulous. And I just popped that into the chat. So it has obsntribe@gmail.com.
Yes.
And yes, everybody, we will have this recording available, if not tomorrow, then very soon, both on the website and you'll also have it emailed to you. Last question. To treat the eye problems, do you use the sumac as a tea or would it be a tincture straight into the eye?
It would be more of a tea. You would drain it, you know, you would strain it and you'll probably put it in like while it's hot and just, you know, like a cloth or something in there and just like place it over the eye. you know, and to do that. So it'd be more of a straining, just like, just like just heat it, the tea, heat it, put it in there and just place it over the eye. And that will cause it to heal, to start the healing process.
Well, thank you so much again to Ann Severson. Thank you, Vickie Jeffries.
Thank
you to the Hillsborough Garden Club. And we are very grateful again also to the Orange County Arts Commission and the North Carolina Arts Council for supporting this event. Thank you so much. If you enjoyed tonight and would like to sign up for future events, please go to www.orangehistorync.org. And we wish you all a wonderful evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you.